Okay, hello. We're out here at the 2022 Heartland Pride Parade. There are a lot of people here, so we have lots of pickings for folks to talk with and interview. So we're gonna just grab some people at random, see what's going on. We got Dan here. He's fresh today. What's going on, Dan? You excited?
Yep.
Yep. How about you, Jorge?
Yeah, pretty excited. Want to see what we learned today, and hopefully get some interesting conversations.
Yeah. What do you think is going to be the primary difference from today as compared to yesterday when we were talking to the people at the rally against Children's Hospital?
Well, obviously, we'll have an opposing viewpoint here today. Really, we're going to have to change the way we ask the questions. Over there, they were, yesterday they were going, kind of against the transgender surgery. So today, really, it's more about like, we should have those things and we support them. So, okay, so why? So we're going to try to pick the brain on why is it that it's okay to do so, and many other questions. Pretty much the question of the day, which was yesterday, was can the Bible and the LGBT be reconciled? So,
big question on everyone's mind is, are people going to be nice to us? What do you think, Dan?
I hope so. I'm always hoping for the best, but I live in the real world, so...
I am remaining hopeful too, but yeah, we'll see. People don't always like to be questioned on their beliefs, but I think people will be nice. So we'll see. Yeah, this will be a fun video. Do the like thing, do the share thing, do the subscribe thing, comment. We're a really new YouTube channel, so do all that stuff if you think this stuff's cool. Get us out there and see how it goes. Hopefully it's helpful. Peace. Okay, so hello, hi. We got Ty here. We got Jorge. We're chatting. It's Pride Festival. Ty's got a friend. She didn't want to join. That's okay. People are shy. Jorge, what's going on?
Well, there's a Pride Festival going on. It just kicked off. We're about to do some interviews and talk to people about, their LGBT ideas, and just want to see, pick their minds on a few certain things.
Okay. So, we were at the rally yesterday against the Children's Hospital, interviewing people there. There's a lot of people concerned about like what kids are being exposed to, like drag queens, things like that. Do you share any of those concerns?
I do not. Being as I didn't know the words for it, but I've known I've been different since I was younger. Had I had that representation and been exposed to something like this when I was younger, I would have been a lot better off. Because now, being an adult, trying to find my identity is 100% more difficult when I've already formed my identity around being a straight person. Now, being able to be up close and personal with who I am and being free is really empowering. And had I had that as a kid, I would have been already in full form with my identity.
Do you think there's anything like kids should not be exposed to? And if so, what?
I believe that varies per parent. However, the common misconception with showing all this is that we're exposing kids to sex. Obviously, no one's going to go up to a kid and speak about what we do in the bedroom. That's for us to debate. Straight people don't do that. So I don't think anything that you wouldn't show with straight couples is inappropriate.
Okay. But isn't that kind of part of the LGBT like movement? Is, I mean, by definition, it has to do sort of with what's done in the bedroom. Do you mean no one's going to get like explicit about it?
Well, nope. Even with the LGBT community, there's people that stand for asexual, and that's strictly just they don't prefer sex. So as more straight people don't realize that more about their identity is less about what they're doing in the bedroom and who they're able to be freely. And pride is more about being able to embrace just the fact that we're gay and not what we're doing as gay people.
So, but I mean, like, do you think you can teach kids about like a, LGBT plus identity without getting a little bit into, can you get into that identity with a child and kind of teach them about it without getting into like bedroom stuff?
Of course, it's just like now when kids come home from school, oh, mommy, I really like this boy in my class, he's so cute, and it's like, oh, you have a little crush, and that's about as deep as it goes. No one wants to talk about sex with kids, and that's less about what our sexualities are about at the end of the day.
Cool. Any questions, Jorge?
Yeah, question for you. Do you think, let's just take the people that we interviewed yesterday, for example, they were against the trans surgeries and whatnot. do you think it's possible that you and a person from yesterday could have a conversation and possibly be friends but still disagree on this fundamental thing? Do you think maybe, okay, maybe they're just, in their minds, they're just really concerned for someone? Is it something you think, well, okay, I can be friends with this person, but we just don't meet eye to eye with that? Or is it an impossible thing in your eyes?
Yeah, good question.
That's actually a perfect question. I personally am a trans individual, and I deal with family that's just not up to terms with it yet. And there's a difference between being able to disagree and tolerating hate. As like what you said, if they're genuinely concerned and they're open to understand, and as opposed to being set in their ways and not willing to open up at all, that just shows a big block between them and a trans individual. And that's more than just being concerned about the surgery. That's you in general not respecting that trans person's opinion.
So bouncing off that question, do you think you could be friends with someone who says, look, I do not, I think the LGBT, choose whichever, whether it's, being gay or being trans, like, I think there's something inherently wrong about that. Do you think you could be friends with someone like that and disagree and have conversations, or is that like a deal breaker for you?
That honestly is a deal breaker, but like I said, I've had family that treat me with as much love as they can. They don't necessarily support what I do, but up front and personal, I've never felt that. So say they never disclosed that to me. If they were never acted any different, how can I really say, okay, this is a toxic relationship? But at the same time, though, if we did have that conversation and they weren't willing to see, like again with the trans question, if they weren't willing to even have an open mind about it at all, then yes, it would be a deal breaker.
So it almost kind of sounded like for a second there you're saying it'd be okay if they had that in their head, that, being trans is wrong, but if they don't say it, or if maybe they say it once and then all right, that's enough, you said it. So is it dependent on how much they're saying it or whether they say it, but they can have it in their head but not like really confront you with that belief of theirs? Is that?
It's more about the intention behind the belief. The belief isn't good, and most likely it would be a deal breaker. But because I do deal with family that still is trying to come around, if they have an intention to try to understand, that's totally different than just being set in their beliefs. So I guess there is like a tolerance that you kind of have being a gay person. You have to kind of tolerate different beliefs in order to change their beliefs, I guess, if that makes sense.
Cool, thank you.
No, it was good. No, good. I like your answer there. But I wanted to ask you, so yesterday we asked some people, obviously most of the people, or almost everyone, said that on the other side, right? They were saying, we don't hate these people. We really just want to show them the love in Jesus Christ, right? And really, their concern is like they're not really concerned in trying to change the people, so to speak, but they're just concerned in the eternal consequence of that. If somebody were to come tell you, hey, listen, Ty, I'm just really concerned for your eternal state. I love you. You know what? I'm gonna keep being your friend. I will keep loving you. I think we'll disagree on this issue, but I only want to confront you about this because I'm just concerned and love you. Do you think that is, in a way, homophobia? Because we talk to some people where they think even that, them expressing their love for them in that way, is homophobic. What do you think about those type of people and comments?
What do you think about Christians? That's the question.
Christianity inherently isn't bad, being that it is weaponized to trying to oppress us over the last few decades. I would say that my opinion on it is very vague. It depends on the Christian, to be honest. But with that being said, I don't know how to phrase this.
And you can be honest.
Typically, with how you kind of described that, it's like, okay, I love you, but, and that's never a good phrase anyway, let alone when it comes to a part of me I can't control. So it's kind of like a slap in the face, right? A backwards compliment. And it's just, at that point, there's a difference between toleration and support.
But if like, let's say we put ourselves in their shoes, right? And they just think, you're in danger. I want to warn you because I love you. In their minds, they think, you're in danger. Could you see in a way maybe that, okay, I'm trying to tell you you're in danger because I love you? Or is that still in your mind, is that still sort of intolerable on their part?
Okay.
Because it seems that a lot of people really shared that they just seem concerned about their eternal well-being. Rather, they didn't really care what anybody did, but rather they're just concerned about what happens after. So.
My honest opinion being is any use of Christianity against homosexuality, so that concern would be based in false, because I did not word that right anyway, because homosexuality was not mentioned in the Bible until the King James Version. Before that, it was referring to pedophilia. So as far as a Christian being concerned with my eternal life, it would come from an incorrect standpoint, because God didn't say anything about me being a sin, because that was not the original scripture. So as far as them being concerned, it would be be concern coming from a false place.
So where do you get that? Because we're pretty interested in religion, and this guy's basically a biblical scholar. So this King James Version introducing the idea of homosexuality, where do you hear that?
By where do you mean?
Like, how do you know that, or how did you get that info?
Basically just scholarly sources on Google. I spent some time in a church growing up, but not much. I recently tried to get connected with spirituality and tried to find my way into the higher above, but I personally just been doing a lot of research, a lot of peer-reviewed articles of just seeing the past, because I've heard that before, that the Leviticus verse was incorrect, but of course, because I don't have any religious standpoint, I wanted to see for myself and not just come from a biased place. So then I actually saw that version that the first verse of that was actually man shall not lie with boy, and not man shall not lie with man.
Okay, I'm trying to find, I probably won't find it, but I'll let Jorge. I have this really, really old Bible. It's like a fax, like they took like a copy of like one of the oldest Bibles, so I want to see what that says on that thing.
Yeah, no, I wanted to ask you, you mentioned about, those peer review studies, right? Have you looked at any of the studies that take a look at the original Hebrew for Old Testament and the original Greek of the New Testament to verify that is correct? I guess looking at the original copies in the in the Hebrew and Greek, have you kind of checked it against that to see, okay, is this really true, or is it just something, okay, I looked at these peer reviews and I think that's good enough for me?
I've looked back at those and I tried to find proper translations for them. Any other two of those that I found, I always found another article like with different wordings of it, so I could never find an accurate translation of it.
Can I have you try to read Old English from my phone?
Sure.
Okay, so this is like one of the original translations from English. This is pre-King James. Can you try? I know it's spelled funky. Give it a shot.
Thou shalt not lie with. I can't see that. Man.
Yeah.
I cannot read that.
I think it says, "Thou shalt not lie with," spelled with a Y, "mankind as with womankind, for it is an abomination."
And what version is
Abominacion is kind of how it reads. This is the Matthew's Bible. Let's see. I think I have. I don't know if that's this guy. Yeah. So.
And that's where we kind of get into like.
Sorry, I need to hold this in front of you, otherwise we can't hear you.
And that's kind of where we get into like a gray area, right? There's so many different translations of the Bible, so many different perceptions, so many different ways people interpret it and live it. Because if we're going off of abominations, purely all of the passion that goes behind people religiously fighting against homosexuality, there is other abominations and other sins that are just in line with it that don't get the same passion. So I guess with all these different versions, all these different perceptions, if you're gonna have that energy behind one abomination, at least have it for the rest of them. And I don't think that Christianity would get as much turmoil as it does if they had the same energy and like wanted to condemn every single sin as much as they do homosexuality.
Right.
Just one more question though, and I have to go though.
Sure. Yeah.
Jorge, and this is Dan. What is your name?
Jay.
Jay. Good to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
All right. Well, we're here today asking people about what's going on today. What brings you out, and why is it so important for you?
Oh, it's a celebration of Pride. Basically, it's a time where we can be ourselves and not have to worry about not being yourself, whether it's in the workplace or just in public. This is the only time that we can really be out here and not care.
Gotcha. Why is it so important? I mean, is there something going on that is kind of I guess oppressing this movement, or is there something going on in this country that you feel like there's a need for us to do this pretty much every year?
There's always something going on in the country, but this is a time where everyone is happy. We're here to spread joy. That's why you have the colorful colors and people saying, you know, be prideful. That's literally all we're here to do, is just be happy and spread joy.
Okay, you mentioned the colors. I wanted to ask a personal question about it. So, for example, that flag right there, I remember I used to only see the rainbow. I see black and brown and some, what are these black and brown colors?
They're pretty much for everything, any type of gay that you could be, whether it's just gay, queer, lesbian, transgender. So it just pretty much keeps building because new things keep coming out as far as people showing who they are. So it's for everyone and their personality pretty much.
Gotcha. So no, the brown and the black, they don't specifically go for a particular person. Does that describe, like, I don't know, when I look at it, does it describe like brown and black people, or what is that? Is it just sexualities?
Sexualities. They're all sexualities.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, let me ask you this question here. We were at the rally yesterday, a different rally yesterday, interviewing other people, and they were talking about they were in opposition to transgender surgeries. Do you think there are some things that maybe we should not be teaching children about? How do you feel about that?
Honestly, I can't say that it's something that you shouldn't teach children about. No, we're not trying to put it in your head like, hey, if you don't feel comfortable being this way, be this way. It's more of like, if you don't feel comfortable in your own skin, there are other options for you. So not necessarily pushing it on kids and being like, hey, you need to learn this. There's all these different type of people. It's more like, hey, be yourself. And we're letting you know that there's a way that you can be yourself if you don't feel like yourself.
Okay. Is there a limit for children? Where do you draw the line? Do you think we should, let's just say an example, anybody under 10 should not consider surgery? What is the age do you think is appropriate? Because that seems to be a line that has not been drawn yet.
Right.
Is there repercussions? Yeah, what is the age? Where do you get your thoughts on that?
Me personally, I don't think that that's a decision a child should make. As children, you could turn around and say, hey, I want to get a huge tattoo, and then find out in your life as an adult, you now have a tattoo that you can't even do your job with. So I don't think that that's something that a child should make. That's what their parents are for. So if your parents say, hey, you know, you need to wait until you're 18 before you decide to do what you want to do, I would support that, because you're too young to make a decision that's a lifelong decision.
What if there's a 6-year-old, right? Or let's just say an 8-year-old, and they feel like they should be the opposite gender. They're still a kid, and their parents, you know what? Let's go get your surgery. Let's make your dream happen. Do you think parents should maybe say, well, let's hold off. Let's hold off for a couple years. Let's make sure this is a thing. Or do you think if the parents are okay with it and their young child requests something like that where they don't know the consequences of it, as we were speaking about, do you think parents should kind of hold their own on that and wait a little bit, or do they just say, okay, you know what, let's do it?
I definitely think they should wait. I was that kid, so I didn't feel like myself as a child, so I understand exactly what it's like, but it was a little bit more difficult for me because we didn't have all this to support one another. So it was definitely different. But as far as being a child, I don't think I was ready to make that type of decision even as a child. I would do it in a heartbeat right now, though.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, thought-provoking question for you. I want to pick your brain on this one.
Okay.
So, like I said, we were interviewing the opposite sort of people yesterday. Do you think that the Bible teachings and LGBTQ ideology, can they go hand in hand, or is it ideally just contradictory to each other?
They're contradictory. Honestly, I grew up in the church my whole life, And then once I realized who I was and what I liked, the church was more worried about what I liked and what I did in my bedroom than they were about me and my personal well-being. I had the hands laid on me and praying the devil out of me and all that stuff, but these are the people who actually act like they cared about me. The church shunned me, all because I didn't like what they liked.
Gotcha. So pretty much you're accepting, yeah, they can't be reconciled. It's one or the other, pretty much.
Well, I know a lot of people who still go to the church, but it's just you really can't be yourself in the church. If I go to the church and I dress how I like to dress, I'm gonna get the looks, I'm gonna get the snares, what are you doing here? Oh, come in here, we need to pray for you. You don't even know me, and I'm probably doing better than you are, but you want to pray for me because of what? Because what I like? So, I don't know. I don't know.
I have two last questions. Do you have anything, Dan, or no?
Would you say, you were talking about the church, that there's like a contradiction between like what they practice and what they preach? There's a contradiction between what they practice and what they preach? Would you say that?
Of course. Of course. I mean, like I said, I've always grown up in the church. I love church. I love singing and everything, but it's just like, it just doesn't feel like I fit. I don't feel like I fit. I feel like everyone's watching me. I feel like everyone has something to say or they're talking about me. I mean, even, going to church with your parents are the ones that have to hear it and see the snares, and they're like, hey, why can't you just be normal, or why don't you be a gay where you're a girly gay and stuff like that? And I'm like, I've never liked that. I don't like the attraction from a guy, and I don't want to dress to where a guy can see me and be like, dang, shorty,
No, definitely. I understand. Cool. Your last couple questions, then I think I'm done here. So, I want to ask you here. You mentioned, it can't go hand in hand. Now, there's people that we talked to yesterday, and they were saying, really, we really don't care what people do. Really, we're just concerned. They really believe that there is a concern for people's well-being. I guess they're concerned of what happens after. They're concerned of your eternality. And they say, we just want to come here and show the love for Jesus and, that there's a better way. When a person is genuinely concerned because they think there is danger, you might not think so, but in their head, there's danger. I want this person, to know real love. Do you think that is still a form of homophobia, or do you think you can actually be concerned for someone and not share the same belief?
I believe that you can have a concern for someone, but your belief doesn't mean it has to be my belief. First thing that God says as far as Christianity is He's a jealous God. He's the King of all kings, the Lord of all lords, which lets you know there are other lords, there are other kings, there are something else out there. So why do I have to believe what you believe? Not saying like I don't believe or anything, but there are other options out there. There's paganism. I mean, there's plenty of different options and avenues that you can go with this. So technically, can it go hand in hand? Because you want to tell me that this is what I need to do, this is how I need to be, and you're a jealous God. Well, you want me to follow someone who's very jealous and will kill you because you like what you like and you're not worshiping me? That sounds like the people who hate us already.
I understand.